Okay, this week's ACT question involves absolute value. So we've previously worked with absolute value where if I wanted to say what this says here, it says the graph above on the red axis is f of x. Which of the following graphs represent the absolute value of f of x? Now I can write the absolute value of f of x with these bars. So anytime you see something with those bars, it indicates absolute value. Now, what absolute value means, practically speaking, is essentially every value, every y value, if it's positive, it stays positive, and if it's negative, it becomes positive, okay? So, really what it's looking at is the absolute value is asking how far away from zero is your point, or is your y value, or is your answer. So, that means that even if I'm down here, say I'm on this graph on the red axis and I'm down here, that's a negative value, but what the absolute value is asking me is how far away is this point, this y value, from zero. And that, how far away that point is going to be a positive number. Say it was 10. So if this was negative 10, how far away is it from zero? Well, it's 10 units from zero, okay? So even this question looks slightly confusing, and these graphs over on this other side also look a little bit confusing. But what I can know for sure is that the graph of an absolute value will always be above or touching the x-axis. So on a question like this, I can try to really kind of follow it along, that as I decrease, I'm decreasing until I get to zero, and then at that point I need to start going up because I'm getting further from zero. But really, I can look at this graph and see that it goes below the x-axis, so it can't be that one. I can look at this graph, see that it goes below the x-axis, so I know it can't be that one. Here again, I can look here and it goes below the x-axis, so I know it's not that one. So in that way, on the test, I can know that it's B. Now once I know that, I'm going to go ahead and check it, because sometimes I might have two answers that are all above the x-axis. So here, as I go down on my original graph, I'm getting closer and closer to zero, which makes sense. And now, once I get to zero, when I get to the x-axis, when y equals 0, my original graph starts getting further and further from 0. So this one needs to get further and further from 0, right? When I start this arc down on the original graph, the arc starts and it's getting further from 0 until it peaks, and then it starts getting closer to 0. So the arc starts here, gets further to 0, and then once we get to the top, it starts getting closer to 0. And then we come all the way down to 0, and then we're looking at our original graph, we start going away from 0 again. So we go away from 0 on our absolute value graph. So you can go ahead and follow the graph through. Also, you can look at it and say, this is the only graph that has every point is above y equals 0. So it's above the x-axis or on it.